just B's and C's. My second semester, I was on 4 A's, 3 B's, 1 C, which is like really, really hot results. So I knew that it was just those 2 courses that were going to stop me from entering third year. So I wrote the receipts and I still failed practical pharmaceutics.
At University Life Podcast, our vision is to illuminate the path to academic excellence, personal growth, and professional success for Nigerian university students. We envision a future where every student, regardless of their chosen field of study, embraces their unique journey with confidence, finding inspiration and empowerment in our vibrant community. As we continue to grow, our goal is to empower the next generation of leaders, thinkers, and changemakers. Join us in this inspiring vision as we navigate the world of university life, one episode at a time. I was scrolling through LinkedIn last week and I saw this post that actually captivated my attention. And after going through it, I felt very connected with the post and I decided to approach the creator, of course, the person who shared the story. And before I even approached that person, because it was on LinkedIn, I was a little bit apprehensive. I was scared because I've never approached anybody on LinkedIn to, invite them for anything. So I even posted it on my status that people should wish me luck before I eventually went ahead and asked the person to come and speak on this podcast. And I'm very excited to tell you that with me today we have Miss God's Delight Agu with me on the show, and she'll be telling us, she'll be sharing her experience on why she dropped out of pharmacy school. So it's a very fun episode, it's a very emotional episode, and I hope it actually connects with you. Let's dive right in.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is God's Delight Agu and I'm a digital and social media consultant. I like to describe myself as 2 things, a digital entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur. So that means I'm building online businesses and I'm also building businesses that help people make their lives better. That's the social entrepreneurial part. A dropout. Dropped out of University of Port Harcourt in 2021, August, after like 2021 academic session. So that's a brief introduction about me.
For beginners, you have a very lovely voice, and I'm very excited that you are here with me. You're actually my first host that our first guest that I've gotten here professionally, or let's say that I've gotten on another social media that has not been a physical interaction before the process.
So growing up as a child, I was faced with quite a challenge. I was this child that could actually do a number of things. And if you're someone like me and you have the ability to do a number of things, a lot of times deciding on a career opportunity can be quite challenging. So there was a time when I said, oh, I want to be a teacher. There was a time when I said, I want to be an English teacher. There was a time when I said, okay, teaching is not cool. I want to be a journalist. I want to be a mass communicator. And all like that, because I've always known I love to write, I love to teach, and I love to talk. So I kept on looking for a career path that could accommodate my abilities. So yeah, that was it. That was it at that point. I wanted to do something that could allow me to use my skills. So I went ahead continued on that path. There's a time when the dream was actually to become a bilingual journalist. I wanted to do something I wanted to be someone that could switch between languages during my presentation. And at that time, my goal was English and French. So these were some of the things I really wanted to do initially. But then how did I end up saying I wanted to study medicine? So this is now like the social entrepreneurial part of me, the part of me that wants to make the lives of people better. So for a really long time, I've been concerned about the street beggars we have in Africa. I've always felt that there should be a solution to the problem of street beggars. I wanted to create a foundation that could take people off the streets, rehabilitate them, provide them with skills, provide them with jobs, provide them with opportunities. The school-age children sent to school, raised from nursery down to university level. And then at that time, I wondered, what is a profession I could actually get into that would give me ample opportunity to actually live out all of these things? And at that time, the only answer that came to my mind was medicine. Because I felt, some of these people would have illnesses. And if I become a medical doctor, I'll be able to offer more help to them. So this is what I wanted to do initially. And that's how I ended up applying for medicine instead. So the whole journey started, I left secondary school in 2016. And the year I left secondary school, I wrote JAM the same year. I wrote JAM along with my WAEC and NICO. So I scored 271. So for those of you who will be listening that do not understand what JAM is a Joint Admission Matriculation Board. It's an exam written once a year that helps students with admission into higher institution. So it's usually scored over 400. Each subject scored over 100. So that year I wrote and I scored 271 over 400, which was a high score. And that year, my parents were like, because we were in the East, we grew up in the East for most of our lives. No, let me not just say most of our lives. So we came to the East when I was 8. But my parents have always had cold feet about the East. They don't like raising children in the East. They believe that the West is a lot more better than the East when it comes to raising children, schooling, and all things like that. So my mom encouraged that I applied to University of Ibadan. She believes that University of Ibadan is the best university in Nigeria, the first, the best, that kind of thing. Me, what do I know? I was just a naive 16-year-old. I'm like, okay, we'll apply. We applied. I scored high, 271. But that year, post-UTME was scrapped. There was no post-UTME. So my WAEC and JAM results were pulled together. That was how it was done. And it was compared with my maths, English, physics, chemistry, and biology since I was applying for medicine. And I scored a B3 in my biology, B2 in my chemistry, and an A1 in my physics. English was C4 and maths was B3. So by the time they pulled everything together, my score was not up to the cutoff mark for medicine at University of University of Ibadan. So that was how I didn't get the admission in 2016. It was so painful. 2017, I went on to write JAMB again. This time around, I'm like, okay, let me apply to somewhere closer to home. So apply to University of Uyo. This one was my choice. And I scored 264, which was 7 marks lower than 271. It was painful because I'm like, okay, the very first time I wrote JAMB, I scored higher. And I did not gain the admission. And the whole of that year, I was working in my mom's school. I was helping her grow a very young school. So it's not like I had 100% focus on reading. So It was so sad. There was no post UTME. You put the WAEC and this thing together again, catchment area, different things like that. I did not get the admission. So the third year, 2018, my parents were like, okay, this time around, we don't like that you've been at home for 2 years. We want you to apply to a school where you get admission really fast. So they said I should apply to University of Port Harcourt because my dad schooled in University of Port Harcourt. So he believes that, okay, he'll be able to have a few contacts, pull a few strings. And at that time, one of my aunts was actually the vice chancellor, was it academics or administration? Yeah, vice chancellor admin at University of Port Harcourt, Professor Regina Ogali. So they strongly believed that, okay, they were going to be able to pull some strings and, get her to help. It's not like I was a dull student, but I'm not getting the admission. So I forgot the parts in 2018 when I actually wrote JAMB and wrote post-UTME in some other schools, apart from University of Uyo. I also wrote post-UTME for Abia State University, which is like my second choice because I'm an indigenous of Abia State. And when I went to Abia State University, I wrote post-UTME and I got scored 12 over 100, 12%, which is just crazy. Still something that I cannot even understand till date. Okay, for someone that is a brilliant student scoring 12 over 100. And I also wrote, I had a supplementary choice. Federal University in Dufu-Alikipo, I think they recently changed their name. They now call it Alese Kweme Federal University, whatever. It's in Ebonyi State. It's a federal university in Ebonyi State. So I wrote post-UTME for this school. I wrote post-UTME for this school and I scored 270. And I'm going to say this on this podcast because I believe we should all be honest, right? So I scored 270. The professor of whose house I was when I wrote the post-UTME, a man from my place has a son who doesn't want to be a medical doctor. Doesn't want to be a medical doctor, but the professor is a medical doctor. His wife is a medical doctor. He has 2 children who are medical doctors. And he also wants this younger one, the last born, to also be a medical doctor. So even though the boy scored 210 in JAMB and even less than 210, less than 200 in JAMB and 210 in post-UTME, the man still did everything within his power to offer his son admission, and I got denied the admission. And my mom was so sad. She went to the school, asked them, hey, my daughter scored high. I don't understand. Why are you people not giving her this admission? And what happened? They told my mom, okay, you know what? This admission is for sale. If you have 500K, we'll include your daughter's name to the admission. This is the VC list. You can see this is the one person was showing her. If you just pay 500,000 naira, we would give your daughter admission. And my mom is like, why do I have to pay 500,000 naira for an admission that my daughter merited? And they told her that is the way it is. So that was how I lost all the 3 schools I applied to in 2017. I never got into any one of them. Not on the grounds of merit, but on the grounds of admission for sale. And it was so heartbreaking, to see people I had worked so hard and done better than getting admission and I wasn't. And that was like my first shock in life, Being able to see that it's really not about how hard you work, because you can still work hard and people that never lifted a pin will still get the opportunities that you deserve. It was really, really sad. Okay. Fast forward to 2018. I knew that was the last time I was going to write JAMB. My mates were already approaching 300 level. People I left secondary school with, and I was still writing JAMB. Not because I was dull, but because admission was for sale. So I worked so hard, in 2018. I studied, soft pass questions, did everything within my power. Because I knew that my parents were not going to buy me admission. My parents could not afford sending me to a private university. I knew I needed to work and study so hard to score a very high JAM score that these people were not going to be able to deny me admission, because there was no how I was going to score 320 or 350 and I wouldn't get medicine. So that was the goal. I worked so hard. And when I got to the examination hall, unfortunately for me, I was given the wrong system, a system that did not allow me do anything. I wrote my first paper, chemistry, moved on to English, or was it? Okay, no, I did chemistry, moved on to biology. As soon as I opened English, the system stopped working. I kept on calling all the examiners, the invigilators, and everybody. Please, my system is not working. My system is not working. Nobody talked to me. Nobody heard me. Nobody was paying attention to me. I kept trying everything within my power to get their attention, and they ignored me. It was only when it was 30 minutes to the time, these guys rushed and were like, oh, you said your system was not working. He sends me to another system. Everything I did in physics, all the questions for my physics, I never solved them. Everybody knows that physics is calculation. I never solved anything because time was against me. I just went ahead, kept on clicking, included all the answers. And then I was so sad because I knew I was going to fail this exam. All the other exams I've written, I've never had a challenge like this. And this particular one, that should actually be my last and being faced with this kind of challenge. So what happened was I just zeroed my mind. I wasn't going to kill myself, okay? I just left it. Surprisingly, when the results came out, I scored 294. So imagine what would have happened if I didn't have the issues I had with the system. I was definitely going to get my goal for 300, 320, 350. And, with my 390 and with my 294, I was still very positive that, okay, this is a good score. I should be able to get the course of my choice. I wrote post-UTME. Uniport post-UTME was not funny at all. People scored really low. I can't even remember my score in Uniport post-UTME. But I know it wasn't good based on my own personal standard. But based against what other people were scoring, it was really, really good. So that was what happened. First admission list came out. My name was not there. Second list, my name was not there. And my parents were worried. They were like, okay, I think you should go and meet that professor, the VP, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. Go with your JAM result, post-UTME score. Let her know that you're here. So I went there, introduced myself to her, everything. She said she would encourage me to buy a supplementary form for animal and environmental biology. I was like, wow. So after I had spent 2 years at home writing JAM, scoring high, and people that have scored far lower than me were getting admission into university. So I will finally end up studying animal and environmental biology. Really, no offense to people that studied animal and environmental biology. But if it's something you study because you really want to be an animal and environmental biologist, then so be it. Let it not just be something I have to study because people are buying admission and people that I worked harder than are because they have a father Abraham are getting opportunities that I can't get. And for that, I need to study animal biology. So I obeyed her. I went ahead, bought the supplementary form and bought the form for animal and environmental biology. And then during the third list, I got admission. I got offered animal and environmental biology. And I was sad. I was like, this is not what I want to do. I was so sad. I left the East. I came to Lagos. I was with my aunt for a while because I was like, okay, I think these schools in the South, they are not favoring me. Let me come and try. Maybe I could try Unilag this year or just see what's going to happen. And while I was still in Lagos, I didn't even know when the fourth list came out. All I just know was when the fifth list came out, I checked and then my name was there. I had been offered pharmacy at the University of Port Harcourt. So with pharmacy admission came a lot of challenges. First of all, I had 2 admissions. I had pharmacy, I had AEB. And obviously, if you were going to make a choice, you would make a choice of pharmacy instead of AEB. Initially, I didn't even want to accept the admission. But like I said earlier, I was in Lagos. I was in my own place. And speaking with one of my cousins, he was like, he also schooled at University of Port Harcourt. And he felt that because he studied anatomy, he had quite a similar experience like me, wanting to read medicine and eventually ending up in something you don't want to do. So he was like, if he could wind the hands of the clock again, he would actually have applied for pharmacy instead of medicine. He explained to me that a pharmacist have more career opportunities than a medical doctor. He went on and on to explain this thing, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's just see how it goes. I don't want to stay at home anymore. Let me go to school and see what pharmacy is. And the biggest scam of the century that they all tell us, especially people like us that want to do medicine, they say, go into school after first year, you'll be able to switch to another department once you do well. I did my findings and I found out that, okay, University of Port Harcourt, once you are able to get the CGPA of 4.5 at the end of the academic year, you'll be able to switch to medicine. So the whole of my first year at pharmacy school, I was so focused on that goal. I knew I did not want to be a pharmacist. I knew I didn't want to reach pharmacy. So what did I do? I worked so hard towards the goal of having a CGPA of 4.5 at the end of my first year. So first semester year 1, I came up with a CGPA of 4.86. And second semester, my CGPA was about what? My GPA was it 4.0? So at the end of the academic year, everything came down to 4.43, which was few points away from 4.5, which was going to take me to medicine. So when that happened, I knew that, okay, seems like I'll be in pharmacy. But if I'm going to study pharmacy, I know that I still want to pursue my passion of medicine, even though I'm in pharmacy right now. So I continually worked hard. I knew I didn't want to be a pharmacist. We kept on learning. First year was really tough for me financially. My grandma was buried a year before she was buried a year after I went to pharmacy school. And if you are from the East, you know how much people spend on burials. I don't know how it is in other parts of Nigeria, but if you buried an older person, you spend a lot of money. So my dad and his twin brother spent a lot of money during my grandma's burial, and it was going to affect we, the children. So that was it. First year was tough. I didn't have accommodation. Like I said, I was offered admission during 50s. By the time my admission came, the hostels were finished already. So I had to squat with somebody that stayed off campus, a friend from secondary school, my secondary school. So I squatted with her, stayed there for a while, and it was so tough. She was having issues with her roommates. I would fetch water, they would pour it. We were living on the 3rd floor. I didn't have money. I was trekking to school on a daily basis, taking through and fro to school. It was so tough for me. It was so tough. But I focused on my goal. It was so tough for me. It was so tough. Trust me. So by second semester, I decided that I was tired of trekking through and fro to school every day. I wanted to start living inside of school. So I found a friend from secondary school who was able to support me, and I started living in her hostel. So I was living with 8 other girls that I did not know anything about. The room was always noisy. These people were crazy. No offense to them, but it was always so crazy. And I was a pharmacy student, and I was studying a course that if I failed one course, I was going to repeat a year. So I ended up spending more time in the classroom than I actually spent in the room, because spending time in that room was just going to be hell and I couldn't do anything. So that was what my first year was like. And then my second year, it got really tougher. So I had the opportunity of getting a hostel space, but because of how broke I was, I couldn't buy a full bed space. I still had to share a bed space with somebody. Had to buy a bed space with a total stranger. Anyone that has been to university knows how tiny hostel bed space is. So imagine what it means sharing bed space with somebody, like both of you lying on that small 6 spring or 8 spring bed. It was so crazy. Especially someone you don't know from Adam. So that was how it was for me. It was so crazy. I even went a step further to even accommodate someone else, a friend from Abba, who had just gotten admission and needed a place to stay. So we're like 3 girls sharing a 6 spring bed. So we're not both lying at the same time. I had like other roommates who were not always around the hostel. So I would, anytime they are not around, I'll sleep on their bed. Just kept on managing like that. Second semester was tough. So our first semester started in 2020 January. So January 2020, we were in school January, February, and then by March, the pandemic started. So all of us were asked to go home. So between March 2020 to December 2020, we were at home because when the pandemic started, ASU went on strike. So even when the pandemic had been losing and people had gone back to their normal activity and school had resumed for non-ASU schools, we were still at home. So we didn't resume till February of the next year. And the point when we stopped schooling was when it was just about time to get into exam. We're just like 2 weeks away from exam. And that happened. So what happened was I had to go back to my auntie's house. My auntie who I was with when I got the admission in Lagos, I was there. And while I was there, I started participating in this. There was this program, Creative Youth Bootcamp, shout out to Street Project Foundation, by an initiative by Mrs. Rita Ezinwa Okoro. So we were like about 20, 30 young people, talented young people. There were singers, musicians, rappers, dancers, actors, different talented people. We all came together and they were training us on different things. I did painting, I did writing, I did dancing, singing, acting. They exposed us to a range of skills. It's called the Creative Youth Bootcamp. So they trained us on different areas of creativity. And that was the very first time I learned about digital marketing. So there were 3 courses that caught my attention. Even though I had gone there as a writer, and it was my writing talent that gave me the opportunity to be there, there were 3 courses that caught my attention in the course of that 6 weeks bootcamp. The first was Introduction to Digital Marketing. The second was the Business of Entertainment. And the third was Branding of an Artist. There was just something about these 3 courses that got me. And after that training, I saw myself diving deeper into this thing, especially branding and the business of entertainment. I was so curious about this. I went on to do another training in digital marketing, and that was how the journey of being interested in this digital marketing started for me. So by February, school resumed. I was back to school. I actually had to do a work. I had to work menially in January 2021. I worked as a security girl in a fast food. You don't have to raise money to support myself when school resumed by 2021 February. So I worked as a security girl. I worked 17 hours a day. And I worked 17 hours a day every 2 days. So if I was on today, I'll go to work at 7 and we'll close at 10. 7 to 10. If I work today, I won't work tomorrow. If I work tomorrow, I won't work. That was how it was. So in a month, I work like either 15 or 16 times. It's one day on, one day off. Well, at the end of the month, the salary was just a very mediocre 17K. But I did that job because I really wanted that 17K to go back to school by February when our school had resumed. So I took the job, I did it, and I was able to use that money and buy food stuff for myself and when school resumed. So second year was really tough. It's really, really tough, apart from the circumstance with my accommodation, apart from being able to have time, balance time, because by second year we were now studying pharmacy courses, actual pharmacy courses. In first year we were just doing biology, physics, chemistry, all of those things. So by second year, we're doing actual pharmacy courses. It was so tough. It got to a point when everything I had done from my the money I had gotten and the food I bought from the job I did as a security girl in January was exhausted, and I was totally dependent on my boyfriend for support in school. You tell your parents you need money, they send you 2K, 3K, you had manuals to buy, you had food to eat, you had a lot to do, and you wouldn't blame them because they don't have it. And I really felt bad. I was like, even if I want to be in a relationship, I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm totally dependent on my boyfriend. Like, my boyfriend is my life and my everything. I really felt bad about that. So, remember I told you that we were 3 weeks before exam when we stopped going to school in 2020. So immediately we came back to school in 2021, we went in to write exams. So imagine being at home for 9 months straight. You've not been reading. We were suffering from a pandemic. People were dying. People were hurting. A lot of things were happening, and you just had to enter the exam hall and write. Obviously, a lot of people did so badly, and I wasn't an exception. I did badly. That was the very first time I wrote an exam, and throughout the semester, I didn't have a single A. All I had were B's. Throughout the semester, I had a lot of B's, and really low B's, like 61, 62, 63 kind of B. And unfortunately, I failed 2 courses. I failed pharmaceutical chemistry, and I failed pharmaceutics, practical pharmaceutics. So, if you fail a course in pharmacy school, if you fail 4 courses at the end of the year, you're going to write a receipt exam. If you fail more than 5 courses, it's automatic repeats. If you fail less than 4 or 4 maximum, you can write receipt. That's at the end of the year, not semester. But if after writing the receipt, you still fail the course, you're going to repeat the year. So every other thing you've written, every other thing you've done becomes automatic 0. So pharmacy school uniport was really tough. I was in a space where I wasn't feeling like my authentic self. I was in a space that was choking me. I was in a space where I wasn't given the opportunity to be as creative as I would love to be. I was in a space where I couldn't do the things that gave me energy. I was always in the lab. We go to school around 8 a.m. We'll be back at 6. I wasn't doing the things that made me feel like me. I was just living a life that wasn't true to me. And everything, I like every night there was no sleep. I was grumpy. I was sad. I was depressed. But I just had to wear a smiling face and go to school every day and make everybody feel good. And anybody that hear the pharmacy students feel so excited that, oh, this person is doing a professional course, and they kind of respect you. So these are the things I meant when I said pharmacy school was hell for me. There was a time when I started a blog, just trying to find myself again, I got so broken when my roommate then in pharmacy school said that I was nagging. I was always nagging. And I was like, what? I was becoming who I wasn't simply because of the system. So deep in my heart, I knew that, honestly, I don't want to be in this space. But, what could I do? There was really nothing I could do. So I kept being in that space. So remember I said that I failed a course. I failed 2 courses. So at the end of the year, I wrote my receipt exam and I cleared pharmaceutical chemistry, but I did not clear practical pharmaceutics. I still scored 41 over 100. And that's like at the end of both first and second semester. So by second semester, I was back into routine, back into studies, back in the mood. Remember I said the first semester, I didn't get any A's, just B's and C's. By second semester, I was on 4 A's, 3 B's, 1 C, which is like really, really hot results. So I knew that it was just those 2 courses that were going to stop me from entering 3rd year. So I wrote the receipts and I still failed practical pharmaceutics. And by failing practical pharmaceutics, despite my 4 A's three B's, one C, and every other result that were good, it meant I needed to repeat year two. And when that time came, I was like, whoa, what do I do? First and second year was hell, and I cannot imagine repeating a year in pharmacy school. There's nothing better than just moving with your set. Because first of all, if you're repeating a year in pharmacy school, everybody begins to treat you like shit. Everybody begins to act like you are a dumb person, and that's why you're repeating. Nobody cares to know what happened, if a lecturer victimized you or whatever. So I made up my mind that I was going to fight, because I knew that I actually did not fail the course. Because practical pharmaceutics too, the one we did in second semester, I scored an A in it. So I was trying to wonder why, even after learning everything about practical pharmaceutics, I was still going to fail first semester practical pharmaceutics. I took up the case. I went to the Senate. I reported. I said, I did not fail this course. This lecturer failed me. I want a remark of my paper. And obviously, the Nigerian factor, I failed. Nobody came to my rescue. Nobody wanted to fight for me. Everybody was like, if the lecturer said you failed, just go repeat the year. And I was like, nah, I'm not taking this. I'm not taking this. I did not fail. I know I did not fail. And, they kept moving me back and forth. Nobody wanted to take up my case. Nobody wanted to. I met DVC academics, DVC admin. Even went to the office of the VC, tried everything within my power. I went to quality control, quality assurance, just trying to see if there was a way that somebody could take up my case and fight for my rights, all to no avail. So after so many weeks had gone and all my mates were now in 300 level, studying, moving on with their lives, I was like, okay, even if I wanted to repeat second year, it's already late. School had gone like almost half semester, and I've been fighting for this thing. So I just went ahead to process a temporary withdrawal form. So I went ahead to process the 1 year break from school. And I asked myself, if I didn't have an education, if I did not have an opportunity to further my education after secondary school, what would I rather be spending my time doing? Does it mean that there is nothing I can do to support myself? Does it mean that I'll just be this broke person waiting till whenever I graduate from school? And that was when my journey began. I remembered all the things I learned in 2020, the courses I took on digital marketing. I went further. I kept on taking courses. I kept on learning. I was always on Coursera, learning, improving myself, taking courses. And that was how my journey to digital marketing, social media all began. I was able to land the first job with a Canadian company in November 2021. And my job was as a content writer at the company. My first salary was $200, and it was so good for somebody who earned 17,000 naira at the end of the month. So that was a lot for me, and that was how my entire journey began. So this was how I actually left school in August, and I kept on working. I got laid off from that job. I got another job and another job and another job. Luckily for me, in 2022, I still went on strike again. And this strike was a really long strike. I think it was 9 months long. So it kind of extended my 1 year break a little longer. Extended my 1 year break from 12 months to 18 months. So by the time school resumed in 2023, I had to make a decision. My 1 year break was up. So was I going back to school? And if I was going back to school, that meant I needed to start from 200 level again. At that time, people I had gone to school with, people that were my level mates before, were now in 400 level. So I was going to go back to school and start from 200 level in a course that I knew that I did not derive joy from, in something that always stabbed joy for me. So I had to make a very strong, difficult decision that I wasn't going to go back to school. I wasn't going to go back to Rich Pharmacy, and there was really nothing in the university within the courses I entered school with, the entry-level biology, chemistry, physics. There was really nothing I wanted to do there. If I was going to do anything, it had to be something in the arts. It had to be something that required my creativity, something that required my creative mind, and I couldn't get any of that with my original O levels that I had gone into University of Port Harcourt with. So that was how I left. That was how I left. So I failed the course, took a 1-year break, and that was my exit from pharmacy school. The voice, oh my God, I was telling you for free. I feel like, I think this is some of the things I'm trying to work on. I'm going to Sunnyville, a community. I think it's one of the things I want to work on next year. I want to really talk with fellow dropouts and ask them how they were able to make that decision. Trust me, especially if you're an intelligent person and you love school. Dropping out of university is one of the toughest decisions you can ever make in life. It was like an existential crisis. It was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? My mates are going forward. They are now in 400 level, and there is me dropping out of university. What if this thing I said I want to do never succeeds? What if I never succeed? Does it mean I'm going to become an illiterate? Does it mean I'm never going to amount to anything in life? You feel so tired. Like, it's almost like you're going to be losing your mind. That was how I felt. I felt like I was losing it. I felt like I was making the worst decision of my life. I was fighting with the voice that knew that this space wasn't a space where I was thriving. And I was fighting with another voice that was trying to convince me that, hey, you're not the only one going through this pharmacy school thing. You can pull through, you can do it. But then doing it was not the problem. Was I doing it because I was getting joy from it? Or was I doing it just to make people around me happy? Was I doing it just to make my parents feel good? Was I doing it just to make society clap for me? Oh, wow, she's a pharmacist. Or was I doing it because I found inherent joy in doing it? It was so difficult a decision to do. But all my life, I've never been somebody that did things because other people were doing it. I've never been somebody that moves on a particular path because other people were doing it. For instance, medicine. Medicine is something that everybody says they want to do. Oh, I want to help people. Yes, I wanted to be a medical doctor, but I had a goal. I wanted to be a medical doctor because I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I wanted to be that voice that talked about mental health in our society. In West Africa, I wanted to be a strong mental health advocate. And that was why I wanted to become a psychiatrist. That's why I wanted to read medicine, because there was no path to becoming a psychiatrist if I didn't first become a doctor. So all my life, I've never done things because other people were doing it. So if studying pharmacy at the University of Port Harcourt wasn't serving me anymore, and I didn't care what people were going to say, I had to make the strong decision of not returning, And that was it. I made up my mind about it, and that was it. I never went back. I've not gone back since August 2021. My colleagues will be inducting next year, and I'll go and celebrate with them. I mean, I don't feel less of myself in any way because I have things that I'm working on. I might not have become super rich, but I'm glad I made the decision. And if I had to do this again, I think I would have made the decision earlier than I actually did, because nobody has to be in a space that stabs them of their joy. Nobody has to be in a space that doesn't feel natural. It's just like taking a fish from the ocean and keeping the fish on land. The fish would die. I was gradually dying. I was like that fish struggling on land. When my respiratory organs are not built for land, I was struggling, trying to gasping for breath, because that wasn't an environment that sustained me. So yeah, that's how I overcame it. I had to make a decision for me and not care how any other person felt about that decision. My advice to anybody that might be going through a similar situation like I did is find yourself. Ask yourself, what do I want to do? What gives me joy? See, I feel the mistake we make is that we do not realize that we are all going to die one day. We don't realize it. We hold on to these things and feel that, oh, I'm going to exist. We are going to die one day. And if you know you're going to die one day, why not spend your short lifetime on the things that give you joy? Why not spend your lifetime on the things that make you happy? Why not spend your lifetime in environments that make you thrive? I'm a superstar, I know it. I'm a superstar, I know it. I love writing, I love talking, I love teaching, and these are the things that energize me. These are the things that give me joy. So why do I have to leave myself in a space that starves me of every single joy I have simply because I want to impress people? If I go into communication, or if I go into marketing, or if I go into things that align with my natural skill set, I'm still going to be a superstar. But if I stay in a space that is sapping me of joy, I am never going to be who I want to be. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was a dropout, University of Osaka, UNN. She was studying medicine, studied pharmacy. 2 years, she left UNN. What is she known for today? Award-winning writer, feminist, public speaker, keynote speaker, doing big things around the world simply because she decided to focus on her natural God-given talents. So if you're going to be anything in life, if you're going to go anywhere in life, I want everybody to always realize that we all have gifts. We all have natural talents. So if you're in any space at every time, always ask yourself, am I using my natural gifts? Am I using my talents to get to where I want to be? So don't allow society define what success should look like for you. Yes, a university degree is fantabulous. Getting a degree in pharmacy is awesome. Becoming a pharmacist is awesome. But does it give me inherent joy? And if it doesn't give you inherent joy, then there's no need doing it simply because of the glam. Because you're still going to be a pharmacist, you're still going to have that degree, and you will feel miserable for the rest of your life. And I must say, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, really. It's not an easy decision to make, but it is one that if you're able to make it, it gives you this thing, this idea, because inside my mind right now, I know I don't have anything to fall back to. People that have degrees to fall back to, so it kind of makes them lazy sometimes. Okay, because last they will get job. But right now, I know I have nothing to fall back to, so I have to work twice as hard to prove a point and prove my relevance in the world. Yeah, so I like to call these things the bad things that make us good, better, and the best. I think someday I would write an autobiography that will be centered around these things, and probably that will be the title of my book, The Bad Things That Make Us Good, because that's what I call them. They are the bad things that make us good. And I would say I don't just get strong all by myself. I have a group of people I really admire. I think I made that, I commented that on, when I made the LinkedIn post, a lot of people commented on it. A lot of people talked about how inspired they are and how brave I am. And I told them, see, I'm not as brave as you think I am. But I've seen case studies of people that have done something similar to what I have done, that have succeeded. People that have moved against the tides and they've won. I have case study of someone like Stephen Bartlett, young man, dropped out of didn't even finish secondary school, dropped out of college after 1 day of being in university, and went on at age 25 to become a CEO of a 400 employee company, multi-million-dollar company based in the UK. Or is it Ali Abdal that studied medicine and after 2 years of practicing medicine, left medicine to focus on becoming a full-time YouTuber and a creator, and have gone on to build a business that makes over $5 million yearly. When his colleagues that are medical doctors are still earning £40,000 per year, and he's already making like 100 times whatever they could ever make. Or is it Tim Denham that Australian writer who left corporate America and corporate Australia, used to work in corporate, had a 9 to 5 to focus on just writing online, and has gone on to build a very huge business off the back of writing? Or is it Nathan Barry, the founder of ConvertKit? Or is it John Morrow? You see, I have a list of people who inspire me. They make me brave. They make me strong. They make me believe in my dreams anew. So on days when I'm down, on days when I feel super weak and unmotivated, I listen to their stories and I feel inspired and I find courage and bravery. And I tell myself, someone else needs to listen to my story. I need to succeed so that someone else will listen to my story. Just like the same way I'm inspired by Stephen Bartlett, the same way I'm inspired by Ali, the same way I'm inspired by Tim Denim, someone else needs to be inspired by me. And that keeps me going.
This statement you made that you really don't have anything to fall back to and you have to actually work twice as hard as any other person because others who have their degree have something else to fall back to. They eventually get a job. I really wish you the best. I really, really wish you the best. As well as you are a unique person and your story is very unique as well. And I'm hoping that this story is going to get to people that would be inspired by it.
And yes, if there's anybody who is listening to this podcast that is scared, confused, tired, wondering, oh, I have a job and I hate my job, I hate my boss, I want to make a move, or you are in a course that you do not enjoy, you're studying something, you're in a career path and you want to make a change, I think you can include my email address in the show notes and they should feel very free to reach out to me. Shoot me an email and I'll call you. Trust me, I know how it feels just being there. But if you follow your true passion, if you follow your natural inclinations, success is just an understatement. Like, you're going to be so big and you'll be so happy that you made that decision.
Thank you very much. Your presence here is so much appreciated. Very honored to have you with me, and I hope I'm sure that my audience as well are very honored to have you here with us. University Life Podcast as a whole, we are very grateful for the opportunity you've given us to share your story with us, and we really appreciate it.
So I would say it's the other way around. I'm so grateful for giving me a platform to share my story. Thank you, Emerald. Thank you, University Life Podcast. I really appreciate this. It was really fun doing this. And every time we share our stories, it's really therapeutic. I mean, I feel good that I did this. And I'm sure that someone will listen to this episode and make a decision to change their lives, because if you do not change your life, nobody will change your life for you. 10 years back, you will look back and regret the fact that you never took that decision that you always wanted to take. If you need to quit that job, quit that job. If you need to drop out of that university, please, by all means, do it. If you need to start that podcast, if you need to start that YouTube channel, if you need to start that vlog, please do it. Life is too short and we all are going to die someday. So the earlier we start doing the things that truly make us, the better for us.
And I hope that if we call you for another insightful conversation, you would be excited to join us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would definitely love to be a part of this. Anytime I'm called. So fun doing this. Thank you so much to the listeners. Thank you so much, Emerald, for hosting me. I had so much fun doing this.